The first million words.
Increasing your word count.
No, you're supposed to say episode 12.
Oh, man, I almost messed that up. I have that.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I'll edit it in post.
No, you won't. Episode 12. Increasing your word count with Rachel Airing.
Why don't you tell us the story?
Well, it actually happened right before I went to Con Carolinas last year, so that was in last June. And as I was saying, I was working on the Spirit War, and as I said, a book I was really excited about, was doing really well, but I was behind on my deadlines because I just had this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of worked it out, and I'm like, I can still meet my deadline. My deadline at that point was like, I think it was in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can still meet my deadlines if I write 4,000 words a day. If I write 4,000 words a day, I will have a completed manuscript to turn in on my deadline. And I'm like, that didn't seem like so much, because back when I was writing while working, I would write 2,000 words a day in like the 3 hours before work. So it would make sense, you would think, that I could totally write 4,000 words a day when I didn't have anything to do.
Yeah. You
would think that. But that wasn't how it worked out. And then I had my baby, and then things went crazy for a while, and I got really behind.
Mm-hmm.
We hired a sitter, and that meant I only had like 12 hours a week to write, which is nothing.
Yeah.
And I still had to get 4K a day, and I was panicking because I hadn't been getting 4K a day before I had my baby when I was doing nothing. And I was now really up against the deadline, and I'd missed my deadline for Spirit Rebellion, so I didn't want to ever do that again. Spirit Rebellion was a whole mess in and of itself.
Yeah.
But it all came out right in the end. So I was really starting to panic, and I decided that I had to get really serious about using my writer time efficiently. And so that's when I started tracking what I was doing, and I started tracking how much I wrote and when I would write. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, we do ourselves a great service thinking about writing as this art form that comes from inspiration. Because more than painting, more than any other art really, writing is a long slog. You can finish a painting. You can finish a painting in one sitting if you really go at it, but you can't finish a novel that way. You're going to have to break it up.
Yeah.
And now someone's going to call me and say, oh, I finished a novel in one sitting, but you get my meaning.
Yeah.
Most people can't.
And that would have to be quite a sitting.
Yeah, that requiring just requiring diapers and some sort of intravenous feeding tubes. How do you do that?
I have no idea. But I definitely could not do it. And so as I started sort of doing what I was doing, which I think, honestly, even if you don't care about your efficiency, I think everyone should record their writing, at least for a week, just to see if what you think you're doing matches reality. Mm-hmm. Because humans are terrible at remembering what they actually did and making real judgments about their own efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
We as a species are terrible at that. Just look at any software estimation times where people will be like thousands of hours off on project estimation. You're like, how is this possible? And it's because people are terrible at estimating how long it takes them to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend recording your writing sessions, just how long you wrote and how much you wrote for a week or a month or whatever you feel comfortable with to get an accurate idea. And if you're trying to get more efficient, I totally recommend it.
Definitely,
and,
yeah.
From this data I gathered...
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, we were...
Oh, yeah. From this data I gathered, I found out that I wrote much better in the afternoon,
mm-hmm.
which was a total surprise to me because I always thought of myself as a morning person. But I found that I wrote much better when I was writing in the afternoon and when I was away from home. Like, being away from home was like one of the single biggest differences. And so I changed my babysitting time so she was always in the afternoon, and I went to the coffee shop to write. A coffee shop that had no internet, I might add.
Good, yes.
And that really helped right there, but I still wasn't getting where I wanted to go, and I was so frustrated, especially because I had this one scene, and it actually, in Spirit War, there's a scene where Eli talks to Etman Banage, the rector of the Spirit Court,
mm-hmm.
and they have sort of an argument. And it's actually a very short scene. It's like 1,500 words. But that scene, that stupid scene, took me like 3 days to write. And because I just couldn't figure out what I needed them to say. And it was driving me crazy. And finally, I just said, this is so stupid. And I just closed my laptop, and I just pulled out like a notebook. And I just wrote down in shorthand what they said in this scene. And I just kind of figured it out. And then I went back and I wrote the scene in like 2 hours. Actually, it was more like an hour and a half. I wrote the scene fast.
Yeah.
And that was like a lightning bolt to my brain. The simple idea of if you know what you're going to write before you write it, you can write it faster. And it's so stupid. But it's something that I think a lot of writers, even writers who are very heavily plot-based, don't do. They don't just stop and say, hold on, wait a minute, what actually happens in this scene? And so now I do, before I write any scene, I sit down with my little notebook and I say, this is what's going to happen. This person goes here, they do this thing, they have this conversation where this person says this and this person says that. And we're talking the most ridiculous shorthand possible. You are not actually doing any writing. This is all like notes. This is like if you were watching a television show and you were trying to transcribe what is happening.
Yeah, which by the way, I've started doing that too. And I have gotten much better at not cramping up like halfway through with writing longhand or shorthand.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
lifelong skills.
Yeah, and also with all pretense aside, before we go further, I did hear you talk about this on the Dead Robots Society podcast as well. So we're just totally copying them. And you did mention that it was you had read was it the 4 Hour Body that kind of inspired that too?
Yeah, I was reading the 4 Hour Body at the time, and that he was actually the one who gave me the idea for the spreadsheet that I kept to keep track of my writing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is gonna make me such a nerd, but basically what I did was I combined the idea of the weight spreadsheet for the 4 Hour Body, because that was where I learned the phrase measurement equals motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally true in writing like it is in weight loss. If you have a number, people want to make numbers bigger or smaller, whichever way is most. People want to change numbers. And if you can put a number on your writing, you're basically almost using game theory to make yourself more excited about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's going to be such a nerd, but I played a lot of Warcraft. And I had a lot of spreadsheets for my character to figure out what her optimal DPS was, damage per second was, and what her optimal healing was.
Nice.
And
I never got that far in Warcraft.
I was a pretty big Warcraft nerd. I've actually officially completely quit the game now because I am incapable of playing that game responsibly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It ruins my life every time I pick it up.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I almost got a divorce over Warcraft.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a very high grade form of cocaine. So
yeah,
I try to stay away from it now. I love that game, but I cannot play it. That and they nerf shamans, and I refuse to play.
Oh, so did you start out Horde?
Oh, I've been Horde from we started at launch, and I was Horde. I was Troll Shaman, a Troll Shaman named the Dunkadunk, because that's the class lady that I am.
I went with the one, totally getting off topic. I went with the closest one to how I felt I would look if I were in the world. I was a Tauren warrior, so I was a tank.
No, tanks are always good. I was a troll shaman, and this is so terrible, but I would always kind of start off undergeared, because I would always quit and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, I was undergeared, and so I would totally pretend to be this really cute girl to get into raids. I even had a raid voice that I used. It worked amazingly.
We may have run Uber before, Upper Blackrock.
Oh God, Ubers. Oh, that place.
Yeah.
But anyway,
the memories. Anyway,
quit World of Warcraft, and my life is much better for it. Though I do miss my raids, but
yeah,
I don't miss the horrible gameplay that Cataclysm introduced. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, back to writing.
Yes.
Don't play Warcraft. You want to write.
Yeah. So that's another tip.
You'll eat all your time.
Yeah.
But no, so I got that measurement equals motivation, and I was already kind of a spreadsheet nerd, and I just started keeping track of things because, I mean, this is my business. I write for a living. I pay my mortgage with sword fights, as I like to say.
Nice.
And there is no business in the world that wouldn't keep records, that wouldn't record their own productivity. So why should I, as a writer, think I am any different? So that's what I did, and that helped. And then the figuring out what you're going to write before you write it, that was what jumped me. Like, knowing where to write and how much I was writing, these things increased my word count by, like, maybe like 25, 50%. Discovering what I was going to write before I wrote it, actually just taking that 5 or 10 minutes to pre-plan themes that I was going to do that day, that shot my writing through the roof. Like, I'm talking, I went from about 2,500 words in a 4-hour writing session to up to 5,000 and 6,000 words in a 4-hour writing session. The difference was, quite frankly, astonishing. Like, I couldn't believe I was doing it. And nothing succeeds like success. And the faster I wrote, the more I wanted to write. Because you know how sometimes you sit down to write and you don't want to do it, and it's like pulling teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have those days anymore. Like, I sort of figured it out, and it was. I'm still. I mean, you can tell. I still get so excited about it because it was really like stepping into this other world, this world of what writing should have been. And for me, that's writing fast. Like, the faster I write, the happier I am, because it's like reading, only you're completely in charge. And I often liken it to being a god. You're in there and you're controlling everything. And I can only go that fast and have this much fun because I know where I am going.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I was just like, when you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, it's like finding out the one in the Matrix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I make that jump every time, first time. But and the final, and I actually made a little pyramid that is on my blog post about this, which is basically, there was one more step, and that was motivation. So I had time management, keeping track of when you write best, and how long you write, and how much you're writing. There was knowing what you're going to write, so that's knowledge. And the last part of sort of my little triangle of writing success, that I cheesily call it, is excitement. And I mentioned that the faster I wrote, the more excited I got. This fed on itself. Every now and then I would just kind of stumble. I would fall. And I'd go from having 10 and 12K days, and I was only writing 8 hours a day. Like, I was writing a normal job period of time. This was not like writing all day, all night. This was, I would get up in the morning, I'd eat my breakfast, I'd go write, I'd have some lunch, I'd write more, I'd come home, I'd play Borderlands with my husband, This was not like crazy time. Though I did talk about my novel a lot. I was very excited. Oh, yeah. But no, there would be days where I would have a 6K day as opposed to a 12K day. And that's still awesome. 6K is still way better than 2K, oh, yeah. But at this point I was spoiled. I was like, this is unacceptable. I'm not going to do it. 6K, that's ridiculous. It's dog food. Get up for less than, I don't get up. I get out of bed for less than 8K. I was very spoiled at this point. And so I was like, why are these days slow? Because I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I was writing out my scenes. I had everything planned. I knew where I was going. And I couldn't figure out why I was slow on some days, some days were just kind of And what I ended up doing was I just went back again to my spreadsheet where I'd written down how much I'd written, and I looked at the 12K days, and I looked at what scenes I was writing on those days. And I realized the scenes I was writing on the days where I was getting really high word counts were the scenes I was most excited about writing. They were like the big climactic battles or the big confrontations, the exciting stuff. And the days where I wasn't getting so much were sort of the filler scenes, the scenes where important information is espoused, that kind of thing. And I realized, oh my God, I have boring scenes. That's why I'm not writing fast. I'm not excited about this scene. And that is a kind of a scary feeling for a writer, because the last thing you ever want in your book is a boring scene.
Yeah.
You never want people to be bored. Boredom is when people close books.
Mhm.
And if they close your book, they don't pick up your next book, they forget about you, it's the end. It's like the kiss of death. You never want to have anything boring.
Yeah.
You always want something cool. And that's not to say you always have to have action, but you always want to be engaging your reader. You want them to be emotionally invested, or to be on the edge of their seat, or to be really cheering for someone. You want them to be involved and excited about what they're reading. And if I as the author, was not excited about the scene, then there was no way my audience was going to be excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this meant, and this was actually a pretty hard decision, but I actually went back in my book and I ripped out the scenes that were boring and I rewrote them to be more exciting. And I said, how can I make this more exciting? And that's one of the reasons I think the fourth Eli book is way better than the first three, is because this was like a whole nother level that I'd reached in my writing, where I was rewriting perfectly good finished scenes to make them better. And it really, really changed the book for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed my writing, both the speed of my writing and the quality of my writing for the better. So not only was I writing 10 and 12,000 words a day, I was writing 10 and 12,000 really good words a day. And that was like a whole new level of success. I call it success beer, because that feeling when you really, really like knocked it out of the park and you feel almost drunk on how excited you are and how awesome it is. That was the feeling I get every day when I came down off writing. And I'm thoroughly addicted to it now. So
nice. Yeah. And that's something you do kind of on the fly now with the, do you find you do that, like, if you think, oh, this is boring while you're writing it, is that something you can just kind of switch and think like, oh, I need to make this exciting now?
Oh, yeah, actually, funny enough, I've actually always had this feeling, and I think all writers kind of do. You know when you're writing a scene, and you just cannot get into it, like, you just don't want to write, and you don't know why? Like, you've had a pretty good day, you're not hungry or tired, it's time to write, and you just can't really seem to make yourself do it?
Mm-hmm.
You ever had those days?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those are boring scenes. It took me forever to figure this out. And sometimes they're still, actually, maybe they're lacking tension. Maybe something is wrong, but your subconscious puts the brakes on writing that it doesn't like. And so whenever I find myself making excuses not to write, I've learned to say, wait a minute, something is wrong. And I go and I figure out what's wrong. And I say, is this scene exciting? Is this scene really the scene that needs to go here? Is this the wrong scene for this point? Sometimes it's as simple as a character would not actually do that.
Yeah.
Or, or other times there's not enough tension in the scene. The stakes need to be higher. Or maybe this person doesn't know enough. Like if this person knew that guy was the murderer, then the scene would be amazing. And you can just a few changes can take you from not being excited about a scene to being really excited about it, and that's when you really push the word count.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's. I actually took the blog post that you put on the word count, and I made myself a little chart just out of that, and I laminated it using the laminator at work, and I have it
Awesome.
taped. I have it taped to my desk now, and I just I do that, and so it starts with the first step is just keep track, and I also added. In my little spreadsheet, I have, the date, the location, and then time in, time out, word count, and then I have another little debrief cell on there where I can talk about what I wrote and stuff like that. So,
Probably a really good idea. I should probably put something like that because I count backwards, which is actually really time consuming.
Yeah.
Kind of dumb, but
Yeah, I just as soon as I'm done. Writing, I type in the word count and then I type, oh, I did this today, and I had this soundtrack running in the background, and I think that really helped.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for people who lots of people write to music.
Yeah.
And it really helps them. I cannot write to music. If there's any music going, I get so distracted. It's horrible.
No, I need to have sound going on because, like I said, when I'm doing most of my writing, I'm at work and I'm alone.
Yeah.
everybody's asleep, I'm like alone for a mile in all directions. So I'll just have like, Netflix running in the background, and I'll have, like The Office, or lately I've been just rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my God, I love that show so much.
Oh yeah. I'll just have that running in the background, and that's noise, and yeah, since I love that show so much, I know it pretty well, so I can kind of tune it out, but at the same time, it's kind of filtering in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it
yeah,
happens,
that's
man.
Yeah.
Like you'll be, I'll do that too, where I'm writing something, I'll be listening to music, and then as I'm like reading back over it, I'm like, wait a minute, why does my villain say "take on me, take me on"? I'll be, yeah. I can't. Yeah, I'm like you. I can't have any distraction.
And why does he sound like Mum Ra while he's doing it?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So that's on your very first page, I think, on your website, rachelaaron.net. There's that link. If you click on the highlighted words that say "I am known for," I think it's "I'm known for writing fast."
Yep.
Is the line? If you click on that, it'll take you right to the link. And
yeah, and also on my blog, on the left-hand side, I now have sort of a Rachel's Greatest Hits, and that's basically my my blog posts have gotten the most comments pretty much, which is a pretty fair way to tell which are the most popular.
Yeah.
And I have my blog posts up there on how I plot novels, on editing, on going to 10K a day, and there's one more. Can't remember which one it is.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Here
so everybody...
Yeah, it's a way to start.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Okay, there, the sound... Wow, the sound just came alive in my headphones.
Messy.
Yeah, so I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Maybe it's just your headphones that are...
Yeah, they're kind of, one of the earbuds was like, I rolled over it with my desk chair, and the other one, is kind of hanging by a limb here, so... But they're the only headphones I have that don't have a little microphone attached to them.
Oh, so it doesn't pick up like double? You don't sound like... Your voice at that point doesn't sound like the voice of God, like coming from like 4 different directions.
Yeah, well, actually, I just get a lot of feedback when I do that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm good.
Well, God causes feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And on the 8th day, God created feedback.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like sometimes, feedback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just had our interview with Rachel Aaron, and I was listening to it again. Well, our second interview, technically, on upping your word count. And I realized after listening to it, Guillermo, I didn't hardly let you talk at all.
No, you didn't.
I apologize.
That's okay. I usually don't have much to say.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, ooh, I thought of something funny. Oh, never mind. It's not funny.
Yeah. And also the sound quality on your end was a little weird because we were calling Rachel on her cell phone and it was kind of picking you up in the mic a little weird. So you sounded like you were on a cell phone too. So...
Well,
yeah.
I decided to pin... I mean, I was like, well, let's try something new. I decided to pin the microphone to my crotch.
Oh, okay.
Just to see if it would work, but all it did was just, cause a lot of bruising.
Ah. Yeah, the mics we have, they have the little clips on them. And I have my clip attached to an old lamp thing that I converted to a mic stand. So...
Oh, that's cool. Mine is... Well, it used to be attached to a little makeshift rig that I had put up. But since I emptied out 90% of the stuff in my room, it is now clipped. It's now clipped to a cup from the Disney Sci-Fi Diner that's filled with Canadian coins.
That is very specific.
Yes, I just, details.
Yeah. Well, you are a writer, so...
Yeah.
So, we had a little bit of a digression during our interview where we talked a little bit about how we all used to play Warcraft.
We were, remembering those days of Vanilla WoW. We were like, oh, wasn't that great? And it was.
Yeah.
Now it's just not like every 12-year-old with like, $15 a month can jump on and ruin your raid. And I
did not get the chance to point out that you actually used to play on the Alliance side. You loser.
I did. I don't know, because I was like, I tried, honestly, I did try Horde first, and then I was like, I don't really like the Horde starting area, and then I went to Alliance, and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. There's a castle, and there's a church, and there's oh, look, there's bandits right next to a church that's for some reason surrounded with wolves and kobolds, and no one seems to do anything about it, except for me and the other starting players.
Yeah, seems legit.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I didn't really play with anyone at that point. I hadn't found any guilds, so I was like, this is boring. And then, like, when I got over to Alliance side, I found a guild like right away, and they were really nice. If it wasn't for the guild, I probably would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's eventually what got me. Our guild had a big falling out, and some bad stuff was happening, and I was in a guild called the Boondock Saints on Horde side, and yeah, some bad stuff happened, and the guild split up, and I didn't have anybody to play with anymore, which I guess is a good thing. Wow.
Oh, sorry. I meant to hit mute, and I hit the camera, so you got a really good shot of me sneezing.
That was amazing.
Wish I could have.
I have Skype open, and I'm just talking, and then all of a sudden you like sneeze, and you sneeze yourself into existence on the screen.
That was my bad. I'm sorry. I minimized Skype so that it doesn't take up a lot of my screen.
Yeah.
So that yeah.
Oh wow.
It's when I cleaned my room, in the process of painting the room, I decided, well, let me dust the ceiling fan. It hasn't been dusted in ever.
A decade, yeah.
So yeah, I actually it's good to kind of leave it, because then at that point you can just peel it off in like a solid sheet of dust.
Wow, yeah, I feel sneezy just thinking about that.
Yeah, and I shed a lot, so there's a lot of hair.
There's a lot of skin and man hair up there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure some of it's become sentient, sentient, whatever you want to call it.
I smell a story idea.
Yeah, I think I'm going to write it. It's going to be like Frankenstein, only instead of a reanimated corpse, it's just going to be skin and body hair.
Yeah. I've been doing that lately, where I hear anything and I'm like, oh, that would make a great story. I'm going to write that down. So now my little story idea folder is just brimming with stuff that I need to write about.
I think Stephen King does that too.
Probably, yeah.
Like, hey, that lamp looks kind of weird. I think I'm going to write a story about a haunted lamp.
Yeah.
And then not only does he do it, but he does it really awesome and sells millions of books because he's awesome.
He makes it scary and suspenseful and makes a lot of money on it, yeah.
Then you realize this is a book about a lamp.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've been doing that a lot, where I'll just get ideas, and I in my idea folder, I have up top the main, like, the title of it. Like, this is my idea, the stolen book idea, and then under it is the date that I thought of it. And then I always make a little plot, not a plot, but a little pitch line for it, just 2 sentences, where if somebody was asking me, okay, tell me really quick, what's your story about? I can be like, oh, it's about a lamp that kills people, And then under that is a bigger synopsis where it's a bit more involved. And then under that is the plan, where I'm thinking, if it's going to be like a short story or a trilogy or a standalone or a novella, that's where I put it.
Yeah, I kind of do that too, but I never write anything down. I'm like, I just take it from like daily life. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, I guess I will be writing a story about a giant dillweed who cuts another guy off in traffic, and little does he know that the guy that he cut off works at a horrible call center job, and
is about to snap.
Yeah, and it's about to snap, and that's the thing that causes him to run the guy off the road. And I'm like,
so yeah. Living in Miami, you must get that inspiration every day.
Oh, daily.
You write that story every day.
Oh yeah, it's that, and like, okay, and like, oh, this is the story about a guy who decides to buy 50 lottery tickets at 7-Eleven while while the other character just wants to buy one big gulp, and the guy is bludgeoned with a big gulp somehow. That's
that would be the way to go.
Those are my story ideas, just because they're just all based on rage from daily life. I'm like, really? 50 lottery tickets? You know, you could take that money and put it in a savings account, and you would actually make money off of it if you're, if you're patient.
You're a very rageful man, you know that.
I'm like, I just want to buy a dang big gulp, man. I'm like, shouldn't there be a separate line for, the guy that's just running in to get something?
Yeah.
Which usually turns out to be like one big gulp or, one candy bar. But no, I somehow have to wait behind the guy individually filling out each lottery ticket. And I'm like, can't you throw away your money on your own time?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just rage. Sorry.
Yeah. So before we get into talking about how our writing has gone for the past couple of weeks or so, I want to say a big shout out to the Dead Robot Society podcast, which I've actually probably mentioned a grand total of, let's see, we've done like 12 episodes. I've probably mentioned them at least like 6 times on the show. And we got a tweet from them that said, hey, you should listen to the first million words. So I was very, very happy about that. So thank you to the Dead Robots. I actually was on their show once.
Yes, I understand you won a contest, and it had
that's a different show.
Oh, okay, never mind. That was the other one.
I've actually technically been on a lot of podcasts because if they ever say, hey, we're looking for people to do something, or we have a voicemail line you could call, I just immediately call. Let's see, the Sword and Laser podcast, Adventures in Sci-Fi Publishing, The Shared Desk, Dead Robot Society, like all of them, I have called them or done something with them.
Shrimp burgers. Sorry.
What?
Nothing.
Wait, what?
I said shrimp stew, shrimp burgers,
shrimp salad. Yeah, but Dead Robots, they had their 200th episode, Dead Robot Stravaganza, and they called upon people to call in their leave a message or something, roasting them, because they thought it would be fun to celebrate their 200th episode with a roast.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, on the 200th episode, not a whole lot of people called. Maybe just a couple people that were, past guests of the show or something. So, and that's kind of the thing when you ask your listeners to do something, it's not always going to happen.
Or sometimes it happens, and you question why you ever asked.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, hey, think of show ideas. Tell us what you want to hear. Then you realize this is horrible.
Yeah,
these ideas are bad.
Yeah. So I called in. Speaking of having bad ideas, I called in and actually left a little message. Well, actually, I made a little MP3 and sent it to them. And I think I called them the Dead Pirates instead of the Dead Robots. But if you listen to their episode, I think it was on episode 201. At the very beginning of that episode is me making a fool of myself, trying to insult these people that basically have inspired me to make my own show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I do that too. Well, I've been on a lot of shows as well, but usually my vocabulary or what I say on the show is kind of limited to Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis. I don't.
You're
I
old
try not.
school like that.
I try not to do that anymore. I don't know. Sometimes
days?
I'll answer the phone like that.
Yeah.
They're like, "What? Oh, I'm sorry. Who's this? Oh, Grandma. What's up?"
Remember the days of like radio talk shows in the morning? Yeah.
Yeah, back when morning existed for me.
Yeah. Like when you were going to school? Yeah.
Yeah, now it's just like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
In high school. Exactly.
I'm not sure if I've grown out of it, but just like morning shock jocks is just like, so it's this again, huh? I mean, I guess when when you get to be 4,000 years old, like us, it's just like, I mean, you kind of heard it all, and you're like, oh, another naked lady on the radio.
Why is this sexy?
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah, I can hear her boobs.
Yeah, could you describe how naked she is?
Oh boy. So, how has your writing week been? Well, actually, the last 2 weeks. We didn't do one of these segments last week. One of our nice little chats that we have with each other. We didn't do it last week because the interview ran a little long. So how has your writing come the last 2 weeks?
I've been completely stuck. Just I don't know. I thought I had a character figured out, and then I realized, wow, the motivation for having this character here is completely like non-existent. I'm like, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is that a woman gets into a car with two complete strangers,
One of whom is a goblin.
one of whom is a goblin, and the other one who just burned down her establishment and
Strip club.
yeah, and I'm like, why would she do this? I'm like, okay, I have to tweak this. So I've been trying to tweak it, and I can't figure out any way to make it make any sense. But eventually, I know I'm going to get it. Either that, or I'm just going to give up and be like, all right, she's just going to suck as a character. I'll move on to something else.
Well, maybe you need to, since I heard or read Rachel's blog post about increasing her word count and the steps she took, I actually find I don't run into as many problems like that anymore. Because I do a heck of a lot of outlining, which I'm still doing right now. So maybe if you did that, just bring out like a paper notebook and start writing ideas down in that, and build your character that way. Because sometimes just a change of scenery is all you need for inspiration.
Yes, I suppose the thing is, it's whenever I'm like, I don't want to write this, I'm going to skip to the next part. It never works. Like everything just has to flow, and like I'm just stuck on this, I guess a part with dialogue because like my book is like probably like 80% dialogue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's like a lot of talking, and I'm like, well, let me figure this character out. And then I'm like, okay, do I make her, just completely boring? No, that's not like me to have a boring character. Even a boring character has its use, but I don't want to, so I've been stuck trying to get the stupid romance thing to kind of start, but not really, because I don't want,
That's hard to write, and that's usually when I review a book, that is usually the biggest complaint I have about the book, is that there's not enough of a romantic subplot. Not that I want these books to be, Harlequin romances with,
Exactly.
Fabio on the cover.
Exactly. I mean, my character's a stripper, so
Yeah. I just want there
that
to
one
be.
character.
Yeah, I just want there to be that little chase, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm like, the thing is, I don't know. I don't understand. Women. It's just like I'm somehow like a monkey, and a woman is like trying to teach me math. That's trying to teach me like calculus, and I'm like, that's how I feel. I'm like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I can fake it.
Yeah. That's the whole thing of being an author, is you just fake it all the time. So
Yeah.
My writing week or 2 weeks has been pretty uneventful. Like, this episode is airing much later than I would have liked it to by a few days, because all of last week I took over somebody else's shift at work because he went on vacation, and that's usually when I get my writing done, is at work. But I usually work 12 and a half hours and then 15 hours and then about 7 hours. And that's my schedule. These are just 8-hour shifts. So I literally felt like the shift went like 4 hours because I sat down and then suddenly, it's 7:30 in the morning. Now it's time to leave, So it kind of was getting away from me. So what I need to do for next week, because I'm doing it again for a couple weeks, is I just need to have stuff planned out ahead of time so that I can go in there, and once like midnight comes around, I can just start writing and still do my duties at work around the writing. But I've been doing a lot of outlining of this book I'm working on, and I've also kind of I'm thinking about putting like book stuff aside for a little while, because I want to do short stories for a bit just to kind of practice and hone my craft. So I have like 1.5 short stories I've written in the last couple of weeks. So that's been me. That's been what I've been doing.
Oh yeah, that's I've been so busy with like getting stuff together, ready to move, trying to study for certifications, and
Yeah.
it's everything's been crazy. So I
It's
haven't.
coming up on you pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah,
Moving.
man, 6 weeks away, man.
That's about that. That's a life-changing thing is coming up for me then too.
Oh, that's right. You will soon have your daughter.
Yeah. Well, I won't. You know,
Well, I mean,
my
yeah,
wife's
I
doing
mean,
most of the heavy lifting there.
don't have a junior thing going on here, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big step. Like one is a big step. Two, you wouldn't think it would be so big, but it's somehow some way it's just bigger.
Well, yeah. My first kid was a little boy, and he's relatively easy. Because as long as you just keep him entertained and just do weird things around him, he's happy. So I'm just kind of dreading
As
what it's
long
gonna
as
be like with a girl.
Yeah, because see, with a boy, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's climbing on stuff and diving. All right, that's great. And with a girl, it's like, oh, we just, well, let's, let's not, I guess we can worry about the whole boyfriend thing in like another 16 years.
Oh, I'm already worrying about it. I'm sharpening my machetes
And loading the
and
shotguns.
loading the shotguns.
Wait, is she gonna be dating a zombie?
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, the future. You never know.
Very, very progressive. Very,
Yeah. I'm okay with her choice in dating zombies. I'm okay with that. If she comes out and says she likes to date zombies, then that's her lifestyle choice. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be fun.
Just as long as the zombie doesn't have a motorcycle, I'm good.
Oh yeah, it's like you do have a helmet for my daughter, dude. I don't even have a seat for her.
Oh,
all right, yeah, time to go.
Punch. Yeah. Let me show you the basement of our house.
It's like, wait, you have a basement?
Yeah, it's about 6 feet deep. It's a little roomy. Yeah.
But
So that's my life now.
I just think it's gonna be fun. I'm like, yay, I get to have tea parties. Maybe.
When you come visit, you can have tea parties.
Unless she's a tomboy, in which case we'll be catching frogs by the creek.
That's what you do. Yeah, you catch frogs down by the creek.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun, but I think it's like your son's just getting to the point where I don't feel bad shooting him with Nerf guns.
Well, he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like, like, should I get the super deluxe model, or will that hit him so hard that it'll cause problems in the future?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll
clear
just get the
of that.
medium one. There's no need for like the little mini gun that shoots foam darts. I mean, you don't need to. There's no need to shoot 100 rounds a minute for with Nerf.
Yeah. One is all you need. So yeah, that's been my writing.
So that way I
lately.
can get back to him for those crotch headbutts.
Oh yeah, he loves to do that. Oh, and also, it's just been so hot lately. I can't, I get out into the garage to write, and it's steamy in here.
Yeah.
And that just depresses me. I think we talked about this. I have like reverse seasonal affective disorder, where the sun comes up and I just don't want to be alive.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's
It's
my
like,
life.
yeah, the sun does suck. Especially since I don't have AC in my car, and half of the windows don't roll down.
Oh.
And not only that, the AC is stuck on, on like high, but it only blows out hot air. So, I think it's kind of good because I'm starting to kind of lose weight. The bad thing is I'm losing sweat weight, and I'm, when I get to work, I'm completely drenched in sweat.
So your car is a roaming sweat shack, a sweat lodge.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
I think, I've met my spirit animal in my car while I was driving to work. It turns out,
punched you in the face.
well, no, it turns out it's a tick. I'm not sure what that says about me, but I'm pretty sure it's not a
You just
good
had to
thing.
say tick, didn't you?
Oh, now you're thinking about it. Now you're thinking
The one thing in this world that, like, physically, that I'm afraid of, that I have a legitimate fear of, is ticks, and you just had to bring. Oh, okay.
It's okay. I mean, don't think about them crawling
Thanks.
in your scalp. And
So on that note, let's call it an episode. Don't forget there's they're on me. Oh boy. So don't forget RachelAaron.net and read her books, the Eli Monpress series. You just sent me a picture of a tick, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I'm not gonna look at it.
Okay.
Wait, I'm okay. Curiosity has me now. And then also don't forget at the end of this month we'll have a little catch up interview with Brian Thomas Schmidt.
Oh yeah, who actually, he needs some help. His car broke down. He's having a hard time right now. He's doing he's on a book tour, and his book releases, well, at the time of this recording, it's 2 days from now.
Uh-huh.
And I just think, I don't know, we should probably mention it. So
yeah,
you go to brianthomasschmidt.com.
.net.
I knew I was getting that wrong.
Yeah.
But I said anyway because I'm special. But yeah, just go to brianthomasschmidt.net. Guys, if you can help him out, because come on, man, his book drops in like 2 days. His car's busted, and he may have to cancel some things that will really help him get out there. So if you guys could, try to toss a few shekels his way and help the guy out. I'm gonna try to send something along because he's a great guy. He's a great author, and
You're gonna send him an envelope full of ticks, aren't you?
No, it's
bastard who mentions ticks.
Well, I think is he in Tennessee now? In his tour?
Somewhere around there.
I think Tennessee does accept ticks as currency, but I'm not sure.
Tennessee and West Virginia are the only two states. Yeah,
it's like blow an engine. Oh, that's gonna run you about 4,000 ticks. All right,
full of blood. Yep. Okay.
No, but seriously, we should, guys, help him. Go, help him out. He's a dude that deserves a lot of help. He's helped us out a lot with our writing. He was our first guest on the show. He actually agreed to do it, and I'm just I don't want to
totally wrecked his career.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's so we kind of owe him for the spot, and we not just that. I mean, as human beings, we should all look out for each other, and
yes,
words are good, but you can't pay mechanics with words.
No, unfortunately, not yet. Maybe in the future,
unless those
after
words
the
are
Mayan
like,
apocalypse.
Yeah, unless those words are like written on a check.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So yeah, that's BrianThomasSchmidt.net. Brian with a Y. BrianThomasSchmidt.net. And speaking of people who have helped out the show, also RachelAaron.net, because she agreed to do interviews with us too. And her new book, The Spirit War. Yes, The Spirit War just came out. Pick up all of her books. There's the omnibus, there's a novella, and there's like 3 books and one other one.
Yeah, and I would suggest getting the omnibus, because you're going to be like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, and you're going to buy one book, and then you're going to like immediately want to get the other 2 because
just get all of them all at once.
Yeah, I got it, and I'm actually into the third, really sort of the third book, but it's actually really fun.
Good.
There's going to be a review up later on, but
yeah, we'll have a review of the trilogy, the first trilogy, coming up pretty soon, and also buy it,
and the Worker Prince,
and the Worker Prince too,
and Space Battles.
Yeah. So do all that, and also again, shout out to Dead Robot Society. You can follow them on Twitter at DRS Podcast, and just Google Dead Robot Society. There's not a whole lot other Dead Robot Societies out there, so they should be the first one you find. So,
there's the Dead Robot Society. It's kind of like the Justice League, only it's just dead robots, and they don't really do.
They don't
much.
talk about writing.
No, they just talk about destroying and annihilating humans, and which I'm actually a listener, because I'm totally pro destroying humans, but I'm kidding. Well, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Some days when you're in traffic and the sun's up and your car's not working.
Yeah.
So on that note, everybody remember to tune in next week Leave us some stars and some comments on iTunes if you are so inclined. We'll have our third interview with Rachel next week, and fmwpodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at FMW Podcast. And I forget to mention the Facebook page. Just look up the first million words, and you can listen to the show through there. And you can like us and give us your support. So until next week, I am Benjamin J. Love.
And I am Guillermo, let's help out Brian because he's awesome, Velez.
Great. Nice. I love your middle names.
Awesome.
What is your real middle name?
Raphael.
Ooh, I want mine to be Donatello.
Well, no, the thing is I have like a soap opera middle name. It's like Raphael.
Ay, Dios mío.
You have come back from the dead. I was never dead, Guillermo.